Yo, what's good, man? It's your boy DT3, man, and I'm back at you with another video, man. New media, notification gang. God Squad. What it is, man. Look, this is how you beat Canelo Alvarez. All y'all sitting there trying to make Canelo like y'all need the fucking Canelo May Vinci code and all that shit. It ain't that fucking difficult, okay? It ain't that hard. I know some people, oh, well, why don't you get in there and fight him? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? What I'm saying is, when I look at Canelo, when I look at him, great fighter, future Hall of Famer, all that. I do not shit on Canelo whatsoever. The only thing I probably would shit on with Canelo is Rocky fucking Fielding. But other than that, I don't give him no gripe. But there is a way to beat him. He's not Floyd. He's not Floyd. Y'all need to get that in y'all head. He not Floyd. He just hit hard. His counters are fucking stupid. That's what made Canelo Canelo. He got decent head movement. Not decent. He has good head movement, very good footwork, and he's like super counter puncher. Okay? Look at the fight with him and Floyd Mayweather Jr. What did Floyd do to beat Canelo? What did he do? He used his counter punches against him. He know his mentality. Sun Tzu, know your opponent, know your enemy. What does Canelo like to do? He likes to counter. What does he like to do? He wants to walk me down, typical Mexican style, walk me down, make me throw so he can slip, dip, and counter. That's what he want to do. That's what he want to do. So you know what you do? Okay, I know what you want to do. So I'm finna use your counters. I'm going to use your head movement against you. You know how I know that? Because it's happened to me. Because there have been plenty of times, ask about me in 3rd Street, when people couldn't get me. My head movement, too much head movement. You know, the ones that got me, the motherfuckers that waited. The motherfuckers that knew, oh, he moved his head a lot. Oh, okay, I'm just going to wait. And you know what they did? They just set me up. I couldn't tell you at the time. I know now. But at the time, they just set me up. They knew I wanted to slip. They knew I wanted to break down. They knew what I wanted to do. They knew everything I threw was a setup to make you throw so I can slip it or break down and come back with a counter. Or just make you look foolish. So when I sparred a guy who was a pro, who knew what I was doing, and when I sparred Kareem Mayfield, who knew what I was doing, wasn't that easy. Wasn't that easy at the time. Okay, when I was slipping, like they're waited on me. They're looking at my head movement. They're looking at me because I'm not still at all. I'm moving all the time. So when I'm slipping and moving and they throwing punches, they setting it up. They'll feint a jab and they'll see me dip and then they'll throw something underneath. That's how you get Canelo. You feint him, you fake him out, you make him think you finna throw, and then you throw something else. You make him think you throwing up top and you come underneath. You make him think you coming underneath and then you come up top. You gotta be tricky with him. Colin Smith, you could have did that shit, but your ass didn't show up to win. You just showed up to pick up a check. Because you do have the skill set to do that. You had the range, the length, all that. All you had to do was keep him measured. Make him do that shit. Make him break down and do all that shit. Make him do that. Soon as he break down, uppercut. Soon as he come up, fake it, bop, feint him. Jab him to the chest. Jab him to the body. Stop worrying about, he gonna counter. He finna counter. He finna counter. He looking to counter. Yes! He's looking to counter. But guess what he needs to counter? He needs you to throw to counter. So guess what? This motherfucker want to counter. Oh, okay. Oh, when I do this, he counter with the left hook. Oh, when I do this, he counter with this. Y'all are not in the fights. Y'all not in the fight. Y'all are just happy to get a Canelo fight. That's it. Why you think Billy Joe ain't gonna fight him? Why you think Khalid Plant, they ain't gonna fight that nigga? They're not finna fight Canelo. Khalid not finna fight Canelo to win. He not. He really not. He got the skills, but I bet you he not gonna exploit that shit, and I bet you Canelo gonna put Khalid to sleep. Not because that's what I want. Because I want Khalid Plant to be like unified, undisputed. I like Khalid. But I don't think he got the chin to stand up to Canelo. Because that's what Canelo gonna do. He just gonna throw haymakers on Khalid and put him down. Khalid got the skill. Khalid got the heart. Khalid got the talent. But he don't got the chin. He don't got the chin to stand up. That's where he's going to fail. And I think that's where a lot of middleweight fighters will fail, because Canelo can knock out everybody at middleweight. I dare somebody to challenge that shit, but Canelo can sleep everybody at middleweight. Everybody. But if you want to beat Canelo, you got to set him up. You got to set him up. You got to know what you're looking at. Canelo is a counter puncher, up and down. That's what he want to do. Look at the Floyd Mayweather fight with Canelo. Floyd knew that Canelo wanted to counter. He knew that. So what did he do? I'm going to set you up. Pop, pop, pop. Up. He's coming to counter. Pop, pop, up. He's coming to counter. You have to have head movement. If Colin Smith, if you had some decent head movement, I promise you, you would have gave him problems. Canelo will not fight nobody that will give him real problems. I used to think Billy Joe Saunders would give him problems because of his feet and his boxing prowess, but nah. Canelo gonna cut the ring off and go to the body. Because where Billy Joe Saunders is so used to people going for his head and doing all that tricky shit, Canelo gonna say, all right, nigga, move your head all you want to, I'm just go to your body. Because Canelo's a body puncher. You got to be prepared for that. But just how Canelo's a body puncher, how many people go to Canelo body? Y'all don't go to his body either. And another thing y'all forget when y'all fight Canelo, yo punches hurt too. Like, that's a fucking mystery to y'all. Yo punches hurt too. Okay? So stop thinking or stop getting caught up in the mystique of fucking Canelo Alvarez. Throw some fucking punches. You're going to miss. Set him up. Use your jab to set him up. Measure him. Because guess what Canelo going to do when you measure him? He's going to either slap that hand down and try to come over it with a hard counter, or he's going to try to duck under and throw something to the body, or duck under and come over the top after he ducks under. Either way, you need to know that. You got to see that coming. And I get it. It's easy to say from the outside versus being in there. I know that because I've experienced that. But what I'm saying is, y'all are not fighting Canelo the way y'all should fight him. Y'all just showing up. Y'all not showing up to actually make a fight of it. At least when Floyd was picking dudes to fight, these dudes was really trying to beat Floyd. These dudes was in there really trying to get him. You know what I mean? And that didn't mean Floyd didn't have the power to keep him off, because Floyd had enough pop to keep motherfuckers off of him to where they wasn't finna run in on him recklessly. The only person that was aimlessly running up on Floyd was Marcos Maidana. So either way, if you want to beat Canelo, you got to study the Floyd Mayweather Jr. fight. I know people will say he's nothing like that. I say study that fight, because you got to look at when Floyd was attacking, the punches, the selection of punches he used, all that. Floyd didn't just go at Canelo. He knew when to throw. He knew when not to throw. He knew when Canelo was wanting to come forth with a counter. He knew when he needed to come forth and attack. Hence, when Canelo was on the ropes and all Floyd did was throw the jab. Touching, jab to the body. Touching, jab to the body. He didn't overly engage Canelo right then. You know why? Because he knew right then, right there, Canelo wanted to counterpunch me. He wanted to catch me with a counter. He wanted me to come in unnecessarily or over-aggressive, stupidly, ignorantly, so he can come through and catch me with a stupid counter. Nah, I'm going to just pile my points up. Watch the Lara fight. Watch the fights with the boxers that gave him problems. Canelo is still that guy. He still will have problems with those same typical type of boxers. That's why he tried to emulate them so fucking much. Because that type of style gives him the most problems. If you want to beat Canelo, you have to study him, study his habits, and use his habits against him. Because a fighter of his caliber, the fighter of his style, you can use his style against him. Because you already know what Canelo want to do. You already know. He's one of the very few fighters that I've seen that's on that level, and you know what they're going to do. But the hard part is, are you going to stop it? Can you really stop it? I'm giving you the game of how to stop it, but can you really do it? Now, that is the question. Because Canelo can be beat. The way his style is, he can be beat. He is not an unbeatable fighter. It's hard to crack the May Vinci code because the way he has mastered the shoulder roll defense is kind of hard to crack that. But Canelo ain't that. The only thing you really got to worry about with Canelo is his punching power and his slick head movement here or there. That's what you got to worry about. You got to worry about his slick head movement and coming back with a hard counter. That's what you got to worry about. Aside from that, it ain't nothing special about Canelo. Just being real. Great fighter, future Hall of Famer, but he can be beat. Pertaining to other fighters that they say is so unbeatable and all that, even Floyd was beatable. If he fought the right guy, he's beatable. Because it's a way to beat the shoulder roll defense too. I'll get into that later, but even still, but Floyd being who he is and the way he mastered the shoulder roll style, he made it very hard to beat him. Because there are a lot of fighters that I thought was going to beat him. They didn't beat him. And not because Floyd was a dirty fighter or he cheated. It's because Floyd is really that good. But anyway, if you want to beat Canelo, you have to study him and you got to catch him. You have to basically use his counter punches against him. If you want to beat Canelo, you got to use his style against him. If you can't do that, he gonna win every time. Or unless he put himself in there with an opponent that has the ability and the wherewithal and the awareness and the IQ to do that. But Canelo, you beatable. Just all you got to do is just look out for his counters. That's it. That's all.